What's up, everybody? We're Fandom Fix. I'm Austin, and that's Roman. And today we're talking about Superman. Now, the new trailer dropped this week, and we got a lot to talk about. There's been honestly already a lot of buzz on the internet about this movie, and a lot of honestly divided opinions about is this the right look for Superman? Is it the right characteristics for Superman? Is James Gunn going to actually deliver? And overall, Roman, I think this trailer looks awesome. It looks exciting. It looks fun. It looks goofy. It looks very comic booky. And I think the biggest elements of this are the dynamic between Lois and Clark, at least from what we get in this trailer. So I'm just going to start off by talking about that dynamic right there in that trailer, because the trailer opens up between a conversation between Lois and Clark, and he agreed to do an interview as Superman with Miss Lane. And I think that dynamic is really cool because she starts questioning him off the bat as just a straight up reporter. And she's asking him all the hard questions about what he's been doing. Why has he been intervening in wars? Why has he been doing this without the permission of the president? And he's getting quite frustrated. And I love that we're getting this dynamic of Superman where his only answer is, what does it matter? I'm just trying to do good. And I think that's something that we really haven't seen in live action Superman in a while. I know a lot of the comparisons are going on between Henry Cavill's Superman and David Cornsweet's Superman. And a lot of people honestly attribute their love for Superman based off of Henry Cavill because he looked the part and he did so well in that. But, you and I were talking about this offline, just that Henry Cavill had that stoic attribute that we kind of attribute to Superman. But in the comics, he's really more of this more whimsical, just kind of fun-loving, down-to-earth farm boy that we didn't get in those Zack Snyder movies. And so overall, I think this is the right direction. And I think throughout the entire trailer, you see how he is a force for good and that his only goal is there to help people. He's not really worried about, what's going on with politics, what's going on with people's opinions, because you can tell that people are kind of just like pissed off and fed up with him. And even Lex himself is like, you're an it, and that's a problem. People adore you, and I don't know why, and like we need to fix this. And so, what were your thoughts about this trailer? What were your thoughts about the overall portrayal and where we're going? Because you have a lot of love for Superman and a lot of knowledge from the history.
First off, I do want to mention that you mentioned that first scene, and what was overarching through the trailer was the interaction between Lois and Clark / Superman, because it was an audio interview, but he was sitting there as Clark, but he was being interviewed as Superman. It was meant to mirror the way that Margot Kidder's Lois was granted an interview with Superman in the original movie with Christopher Reeve. And there were a lot of things just based on the trailer that I felt like were similar between different iterations of Superman in different ways. The dynamic between Lois and Clark was very reminiscent of both Kate Bosworth and Brandon Routh, as well as Tom Welling and Erica Durance from Smallville. Yeah. Very back and forth. You could tell that the chemistry between the Rachel Brosnahan and David Cornsweet jumped off the screen from just like the first couple of lines. And really, if you guys have been following the channel from the very beginning of them announcing this movie, and Austin knows this, back when they had narrowed the search for Lois Lane down to three actresses, it was Rachel Brosnahan, Emma Mackey, and I cannot remember the third one off the top of my head. But as soon as I saw Rachel Brosnahan's name in consideration, I was like, she's the only choice. She's the only choice, because I had seen her in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and there's a very Lois Lane take no prisoners quality to her character as Mrs. Maisel. And so from the very beginning, I said it's her and no one else. And this trailer proved why. Yeah. The way that she's interacting with Clark, the way she goes from his girlfriend, who is like, are you serious? You're going to let me interview you as Superman, to grilling him about his decisions. Yeah. To the point where it catches him off guard. That's exactly what I was expecting from her as Lois Lane. And the out and out hatred for Superman that Lex Luthor portrays in that little bit is very reminiscent of Kevin Spacey's Lex Luthor, and Michael Rosenbaum's a little bit towards the end of his run. But also we see more of Jonathan Kent than we usually have in anything other than Smallville. We obviously saw Jonathan Kent for 5 seasons, and
we're getting to the parents together,
yeah,
in a way that we've never had
we've
before.
only seen in Smallville.
Yeah.
Because Martha Kent was around in Man of Steel, but she had a smaller part than Jonathan did.
Yeah.
And so you see that we got Jonathan Kent for about 5 minutes at the beginning of the original Man of Steel. He wasn't in Superman Returns at all.
Yeah.
So we're getting a little bit more of the more recent iterations of Superman in that way. And yeah, it looks fun. It looks weird, which mirrors more Smallville than anything else. So there's just little elements of the other iterations of Superman in this trailer.
I think to that point, Roman, is that one of the great things about this movie is that James Gunn does a good job of taking a property and really just throwing you into the mix of what you know as a comic book fan and as a superhero fan. He did that with Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think with this, you don't really need the knowledge of all the different iterations that came before, because we're getting different aspects. Like, we're gonna get the slow burn probably of the Kent family, and we're probably gonna eventually see Jonathan die and those type of things. But we're just jumping into a full-fledged comic book world, and with those other heroes involved, I think it looks a lot of fun. It looks like we're seeing what that dynamic looks like around the world for a world that already knows about superheroes beyond Superman.
Right. So. And one person that we did not see in this trailer that I'm very excited to see his role. It's going to be obviously a more minor role, but Wendell Pierce as Perry White. We did not see him in this trailer, but based on what I've seen of Wendell Pierce in the past, I can glean what his Perry White is going to be, and I feel like it's going to be very similar to Lawrence Fishburne's, which I appreciate. And I'm just looking forward to this. I know there's been a lot of, for weird reasons, like already hate on this movie, and I honestly, for anybody watching this, like, just try to like something. Like we've seen with Thunderbolts, everybody was hating that movie before it even came out, and then people saw it and they were like, "Oh, that's not bad. It's actually a pretty good movie." So like, give this a chance. It's Superman. It's for a lot of people, it's the hero of heroes. Like, and this might be unpopular, there's not one live action version of Superman that I've disliked. I know people had their qualms with Superman Returns. I like it for different reasons that I like the original or Man of Steel. But that's what this is. It's another version. It's not going to be Man of Steel.
Yeah.
David Cornsweet is not Henry Cavill, and that's fine. I look forward to seeing what he's going to be, and we get to see his interactions with Crypto for the first time in live action, which will be really interesting. And I love the tag on the end of the trailer. "You have a dog?" That's so funny.
I mean, you can't compare this to other iterations because someone like Henry Cavill, I mean, he embodies Superman in my opinion, but it's a totally different world. I mean, the Henry Cavill Superman's not going to have a super dog. You know what I mean? Like, it's a completely different aspect and very more comic booky than grounded.
It would not have fit in that world. It fits in this world.
100%. And I think a lot of people have a problem with James Gunn because they're like, oh, well, he doesn't seem like he's just going to Guardians of the Galaxy it up. Maybe he will with his wit and that kind of thing. And, time will tell with what this movie does. But I think people judge something way too early. And there's weird things like, oh, the CGI looks bad or that kind of thing. And it's like, that just becomes so nitpicky to where you can't even enjoy the project. And, you're glossing over the fact that the dynamic, at least in this trailer, this movie's going to prove otherwise, but the dynamic between these characters, the chemistry that's there, is way better than Henry Cavill and Amy Adams had as Lois and Clark. And so that alone is going to be the foundation of this movie.
And speaking to the CGI, and they've already admitted this on this movie, what you see in the trailer is not finished.
Yeah.
Like, they've even said that the suit you've seen in pictures and the suit you saw in the teaser is not how it's going to look in the movie.
And it already looks better than it did when we first saw footage. Like, they've already polished things. So I don't think you can judge that until you see the final. Well, I think overall we're going to get a more family dynamic aspect of this, and we're really going to see like Smallville portrayed, where Clark came from, especially with Ma and Pa Kent alive, and then probably Jor-El and some of that stuff. So definitely excited, looking forward to this. We would love to know what you think out there about this trailer. Are you excited about the movie? What are the things that you noticed that we maybe didn't mention? And what are the things about the trailer that you like the most? Are you excited about this Lois and Clark dynamic? Are you excited about James Gunn taking the helm? Please let us know in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to our channel. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss another video from us. But until next time, we're Fandom Fix. Look up.